Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Wednesday, November 16, 2022, afternoon sitting. 1, report to Parliament on all new loans contracted by Government of Kenya from 1st May 2022 to 31st August 2022 from National Treasury and Planning. 2, quarterly economic and budgetary review for the first quarter of the financial year 2022-2023 from the National Treasury. 3, annual statutory report of the Council of Governors for the financial year 2021-2022. 4, annual report and financial statements of the National Land Commission for the financial year 2021-2022. 5, the 7th batch of nominees to 7 National Government Constituencies Development Fund committees from the National Government Constituencies Development Fund Board for the following constituencies: A, Alego Usonga; B, Karachuonyo; C, Lungalunga; D, Machakos Town; E, Matuga; F, Mwingi Central; and Seme. 6, reports of the Auditor General and financial statements in respect of the following institutions for the financial year ended 30th June 2021 and the certificates therein: Pyrethan Processing Company of Kenya, Masai Technical Training Institute, Kipsoen Technical and Vocational College, Kajiado West Technical and Vocational College, Kajiado East Technical and Vocational College, Chepsirei Technical and Vocational College, Kapcherop Technical and Vocational College, Kenya Airports Authority, Kenya Civil Aviation Authority, National Drought Management Authority, National Youth Service, the Asset Recovery Agency, Water Services Regulatory Board, Universities Fund, National Commission for Science, Technology and Innovation, National Council for Nomadic Education in Kenya, National Industrial Training Authority, National Museums of Kenya, Kenya Rural Roads Authority, Rural Maintenance Levy Fund, Veterinary Medicine Directorate Council, Kenya Fisheries Service, Kenya Plant Health Inspectorate Service, National Cereals and Produce Board, Numerical Machining Complex Limited, New Partnership for Africa's Development, Africa Peer Review Mechanism, NEPAD, APRM, Kenya Secretariat, Kenya Bureau of Standards, Export Processing Zones Authority, Mishuki Technical Training Institute, Pharmacy and Poisons Board, and finally Mukurweini Technical Training Institute. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements.
Honorable Speaker, I rise to respond to a request from the leader of the minority party last week regarding the status of disbursement of the NGCDF funds for the financial year 2022-2023. Honorable Speaker, I have this statement from the CS National Treasury, Professor Njuguna Ndung'u, that the National Government Constituencies Development Fund, NGCDF, this financial year has been allocated a total of 44.3 billion in the national budget for the financial year 2022-2023. The National Treasury has, however, not disbursed any amounts of the voted provision for the financial year 2022-2023 due to a number of factors. First, he avers that we have experienced delays due to the transition to the new government following the general elections held on 9th August 2022. Second, despite the good revenue performance for the financial year 2021-2022, the Russian-Ukraine conflict exerted pressure on fuel and commodity prices, prompting the government to increase spending to cushion citizens. In addition, the war in Ukraine worsened the international financial market conditions, and as a result, we were unable to raise the expected resources from international markets. This, coupled with the delayed disbursement of funds from the IMF and shortfalls in domestic financing, meant that the financing for the financial year 2021-22 budget was lower by Kenya shillings 241.2 billion. As a result, the government carried over huge deficits, huge pending bills from the previous financial year amounting to 90 billion shillings, payment of which has been prioritized in this financial year. Secondly, the government is facing expenditure constraints and pressures from fuel subsidy, drought mitigation interventions, and salary budget shortfalls, as well as new priority programs for the incoming government, such as the establishment of the Hustler Fund, fertilizer subsidy, and pensions. The additional expenditure pressures are estimated at 117 billion. The National Treasury has, however, taken measures aimed at unlocking financing from both external and domestic markets, and there has been notable improvements. Going forward, therefore, the National Treasury will be able to reduce the outstanding unfunded exchequer requests. The National Treasury has also taken note of the Supreme Court decision on petition number 1 of 2018, delivered on 8th August 2022, in which a declaration was made that the CDF Act of 2013 was unconstitutional. It is not clear what the implication of this court decision is on application of NGCDF Act of 2015. The National Treasury has therefore requested for the legal opinion of the Attorney General on this matter, and in particular, the implication of the Supreme Court decision on the utilization of NGCDF budget for the financial year 2022-2023. The National Treasury has, however, not received feedback from the Office of the Attorney General. Finally, subject to the legal advice from the Office of the Attorney General, the National Treasury commits to disburse Kenya shillings 2 billion to the NGCDF every week, effective the week starting 21st November 2022. That statement, Honorable Speaker, is from the CS National Treasury. However, Honorable Speaker, as members may have noted from the statement, the National Treasury avers that they are preparing after getting an opinion, and he says subject to the opinion of the Attorney General, the National Treasury and Economic Planning will embark on a disbursement plan aimed at disbursing at least 2 billion shillings. And I think this is what they have done when there has been a shortfall in terms of how much has been disbursed, is to prepare to disburse 2 billion shillings on a weekly basis to help catch up. But members may note that there is that proviso on subject to getting an opinion from the Office of the Attorney General. And Honorable Speaker, I do not want to dwell on that subject a lot because we have had discussions outside this plenary, Honorable Speaker, and I am aware we are yet to engage. And being that the matter is still in court on NGCDF Act of 2015, it will be important, even as we engage, Honorable Speaker, that we encourage the National Treasury. I think the AG's office is just across the road from the National Treasury, to quickly walk to the AG's chambers, get that opinion, and be able to advise the committee. And I would really want to encourage members that we leave this matter largely to be dealt with through committee. And I want to encourage, Honorable Speaker, or ask that the chair of the NGCDF committee does immediately write to the Attorney General and the National Treasury, CS, inviting them to a meeting between the two offices of the CS National Treasury and the Attorney General, and in one sitting they can thrash out the issues that are there, so that whatever opinion the AG may have, members can engage in committee with either the Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury and also the Attorney General, so that if there are any challenges, even the matters that are before the courts, either with the 2013 Act or even with the NGCDF Act, they can be able to engage at the committee and maybe advise us through the normal channels or even in plenary through a report on what actions that we ought to take. Honorable Speaker, it may not also be lost on members, and I think you had a communication to the effect on the debate that we have had on the proposal by the Honorable Mule and the Honorable Gishimu Githinji on NGCDF and GAF. And since there are challenges, and we may not bury our heads in the sand that there are no challenges, those challenges persist, and they are real, and therefore it is an engagement that I would really want us to ask the House that we do engage in another forum, either through committee and in the other informal engagements that we are embarking on so that we don't jeopardize even all the other engagements and the matters in court. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Majority Leader. I'll give only to the man who raised it, the Honorable Opio and I.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, first and foremost, I want to caution fellow members that the foot tamping is premature. If you listen carefully to the statement by the Honorable Ichungwah, you will realize that there's nothing totally, that has been committed by the CS National Treasury in terms of the disbursement of NGCDF. But let me say this, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, once this House approves budget estimates and goes further to pass an appropriations bill, which is eventually assented to by the President to become an Appropriations Act, it is incumbent upon the National Treasury to release funds for purposes of effecting those budgetary proposals. Mr. Speaker, as we speak, and from the statement by the Honorable Kimani Ichungwah, there is no evidence whatsoever that the National Treasury, CS, or anybody else for that matter, has been served with a court order stopping them from disbursing the NGCDF funds, pursuant to the Appropriations Act that this House duly passed. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this House doesn't act in vain. We don't come here and sit and act in vain. We come here and do serious business. And there is nobody whatsoever under the sun who can veto what this House has passed unless a court of law expressly guides otherwise, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, therefore, and I have the ruling here, by the way, the orders given by the Supreme Court on petition number 1 of 2018 are so express. They don't need any further interpretation. They don't. And the courts don't give orders to be interpreted again by lay persons, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, therefore, the idea that the CS National Treasury is still seeking some advisory opinion from the Attorney General on this very straightforward matter is basically to take this House in circles. It's a circus, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, I want this House to stay firm and stamp its authority and demand that the National Treasury disburses the NGCDF funds in accordance with the Appropriations Act without any further delay, Mr. Speaker. Today or tomorrow. Today. Mr. Speaker, this is a very serious matter. And when I spoke here last week, the media were misinterpreting what I was saying. I was not saying that we shall go on strike. No, we don't go on strike. We are too serious to go on strike. But we can stop business, Mr. Speaker. This is the House of Parliament. This is the House of the representatives of the people of Kenya. We can stop business until and unless the NGCDF funds are disbursed. And let nobody think that they can intimidate us. We can never be intimidated as a House, Mr. Speaker. And I want to call upon, Mr. Speaker, that you allow a few of my colleagues to make comments on this matter. It's a very serious matter. This is so serious matter that it cannot wait for anything else. It can be debated until the evening, Mr. Speaker, until the cows come home. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.